Okay.
And
You get ready, honey. Get ready.
Look, here, go up here. Click this on.
All right.
and we're live.
Okay. You're live.
Great.
Hello, everybody. And we should be live now. Hello, Facebook. Well, I'm here with Dr. Cherie Carter-Scott today for our Q&A. And I'm so excited to have her with me. She's live from Bangkok. I'm going to bring her on in a moment. But for those of you who have never met me or don't know who I am, my name's Lisa Patrick, and I am on a mission. I am on a mission to bring the world's best experts to educate folks like you with higher learning opportunities so that you may achieve your personal and career success. So let me bring in Dr. Cherie Carter-Scott. Hi, Cherie.
Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
So fantastic. So for
Hi,
those,
viewers.
can you hear me, Cherie?
Perfectly. Can you hear me?
I can. Well, welcome.
Excellent.
Welcome to the show. And of course, you and I know each other very well because you're a faculty here at Extra Credits. And of course, for those of you who don't know Cherie, she is been coined the mother of coaching. Cherie has been coaching since 1974. Is that right?
Perfect.
1974. So does that make you one of the most beautiful coaches, but one of the longest living coaches, if I might say?
I believe so. I think I am the pioneer who actually put coaching on the map originally. But since coaching is such a confidential and private medium, it's like the world's best kept secret. So coaching in 1974, nobody had ever heard of it. They didn't even know it existed. And so since 74 to 2018, it's grown exponentially. And now everybody's talking about coaching, whether they're talking about being a coach, being coached, or taking a coach training. It's the buzz.
Absolutely. And so you're in Singapore, so in Bangkok, you're in Bangkok, right? Sorry?
Right.
It is growing exponentially there, correct?
Actually, everywhere in the world, in India, in Bangkok, in Singapore, in China, it's growing like crazy because people see. And then I'm mainly talking about people who, like you, are on a mission. They connect with people, they want to support people and empower people, and they love helping people make their dreams become reality. Those people who are called to coaching are really resonating and moving forward as opposed to coming up with excuses and reasons to justify their limits.
Fantastic. And let's talk a little bit because you have most recently had some excitement in India. In Dubai, actually, right?
Dubai was where we actually launched our first coach training there, and my partner, Lynn Stewart, was leading the training. And now we have formed an affiliation with the University of Dubai. So we're partnering with them to be able to sponsor programs for the people who have said to them, I want to become a certified coach, and I'd like to get university credits as well. So just like you offering extra credits to the world, we are partnering with those institutions who want to merge together extra credit and coaching.
Fantastic. Continuing education, lifelong learning, commitment to growing and prospering is so important. I mean, it's why I created Extra Credits to begin with, and how you and I found each other. So let's talk a little bit more about your coaching. So you're recently about to launch a new book. I just found out like 60 seconds ago. So let's talk about that a little bit. When does that happen? What's the name of it? What's the goal?
It's called Mainstream Mindfulness. And people have been after me recently because they've said, we need a book for everyday normal people. People who are not yogis, people who don't go to the ashram, who are not monks, but everyday people who are task saturated and are multitasking like crazy to be able to find mindfulness in a crazy world. So that's the new book, Mainstream Mindfulness.
That's fantastic. And so it will be released, from my understanding, what we talked about earlier, it's at the printers right now.
Yep, September 1st, it'll be released officially.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's not your first book, for those of you who are just tuning in. This is your how many books?
I think it's number 19.
And your most successful book today was your New York best-selling book called Life is a Game, correct?
If life is a game, these are the rules, 10 rules for being human, which Oprah endorsed and loved. And as a matter of fact, it's a nice bridge between mainstream and metaphysics. Yeah. So people who want to start a conversation about making your dreams become reality love this book because it opens up conversations that are a little challenging to have with people who are kind of depressed or arguing for their limitations or focused on the negative. If Life is a Game is a really positive, uplifting book, and it's a little book, so lots of people carry it around in their purses or in their briefcase because they like people to, when they're waiting for something, open it up to a new passage, and it always seems to be the right one.
Excellent. And coaching conversations, I mean, that's vitally important in a coaching conversation as well, is you need to be able to build trust and understanding a little bit more about the person across the table from you is really important. And having powerful coaching conversations is all about life as a game.
Yeah, it's one of the essential things because we live in a world that's oftentimes very judgmental. And you can't have judgments in the middle of a coaching conversation because it kills possibilities. It limits them and it really destroys when people come up with inspirational ideas. That mechanism that says, you can't do that, you can't have that, that's not possible. That mechanism kicks in and it ruins the magic and the energy of possibility.
Yeah. And truly, I mean, I've learned a little bit more since I've been associated with you and some of your MMS Institute coaches. And so there really is a big difference between coaching and mentoring, and what business coaching is versus life coaching, and where judgments play a role. Judgments don't belong in a coaching session, right? And you talk a fair bit about that in your course at Extra Credits, the Ultimate Coaching Engagement, Breakdown to Breakthrough. You talk about judgments. And so let's talk a little bit more about that. So what is the difference between having a judgment in coaching versus having a judgment in mentorship?
Well, in mentoring, you're using your knowledge, expertise, and experience to be able to guide someone younger on their career path. You're helping them to be able to formulate their goals and objectives, to eliminate obstacles, and potentially toxic or sabotaging individuals. So you're using your knowing and you're advising, guiding, and telling the younger person. It's usually an older person mentoring a younger person. Right. Very often in the same industry and frequently in the same company. Yeah. And if you're a coach, it's nice if the person also has a mentor so that you can actually guide them with, in homework, could you talk to your mentor about this? What's appropriate? What works in your corporation? In your company culture? Is this a good strategy? So then they can bounce off the person who's knowledgeable about the industry and the company. Yeah. Whereas the coach comes from not knowing the answers for the person. And it can be an older person or a younger person, doesn't matter. But you want, as a coach, to be empowering the person to connect to their own answers about themselves and vision goals.
Interesting. And so, you know, human resources, they often say that part of the job task of a human resource professional is coaching. Do you agree with that, or do you not agree with that? And to what degree?
Well, I just finished a training program for HR professionals in a corporation. Yeah. And the bridge that we were making is helping them move from mentoring, which is their classic role, yeah, guiding, directing, telling, suggesting, and advocating for the individual, to a questioning approach. And the questioning approach comes in first to be able to find out really what the person wants. And then the second step in the process is using their knowledge, expertise, and experience to guide them in the direction of what it is that they stated.
So questions are a huge part of that then.
Yes. And what was hard for the HR professionals was moving into the not knowing mindset for the person, because they're so well trained to know the answers for everybody else, but not for themselves.
I would think that's common in most professions. I don't think that's just HR professionals.
It's training. It was really interesting because they were saying, gosh, it's like a knee-jerk reaction. I want to move to solution. I want to fix it. I want to tell them. I want them to do what I say. And I said, well, okay, then you're a mentor. They said, but I want to learn coaching. We said, well, you have to develop a second hat.
Yeah.
You can use either hat, but you have to have a boundary between them.
Yeah, and really, and I would think, be very careful on what that boundary is, and not to cross over between the two would be extremely important.
Yes, because the person will default to the mentoring model, which is so traditional, if given the opportunity. So as soon as the client or coachee says, oh, Lisa, tell me what to do. Tell me your opinion. Tell me what you think. Tell me what you would do.
Yeah.
It's really very seductive to the person who likes knowing and telling to click right into that model and say, well, in my opinion, this is what I would do. And then the person, oh, thank you. It's very difficult to get it back into the coaching model after that.
So how does a coach, I would think that's a very big challenge, especially for a business coach. How do you decipher between the two, and how do you make sure that the person sitting across the table from you is understanding the role that you're actually playing?
Okay, so usually in coaching, what we do is we have either what we call a chemistry session or a zero session. And the purpose is
that doesn't necessarily mean. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah. The chemistry session is where you sit down with the person and you have a conversation about what coaching is and what it's not.
Yeah.
And you also address expectations on both sides so that the person can know what they're getting into. So if they come in with a mindset that you're going to tell them what to do, you clarify that up front and you let them know, in this conversation, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions so that you can cut through the confusion, doubt, uncertainty, and fear and connect with your own inner knowing about yourself. I'm not going to be advising and guiding you.
Yeah.
And then you can be able to see if the person's up for that or not. And that's usually a chemistry session, regardless of the type of coaching that you do. It's managing the expectations so there isn't disappointment or unfulfilled expectations.
Yeah.
Now, the difference between executive coaching and business coaching is an important distinction as well. An executive coach, whether it's internal or external, coaches inside a corporation, coaches the executives, and it's often the high potentials with lofty goals who are on a fast track. Now, a business coach is usually a coach to either a startup or an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
It can be a seasoned entrepreneur who has a business that's been going for a while or a brand new startup. But their goal is to help the individual or the team to be able to accelerate process and progress in their organizational development.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk, and you've got 4 courses with us currently right now for coaches, and one of them is about the core competencies and how to build competencies and how success, it doesn't matter if you're a life coach, an executive coach, a business coach, really depends on understanding subpersonalities. And not everybody understands what a subpersonality even is, never mind having to be able to coach and navigate through subpersonalities. So let's talk a little bit more about subpersonalities.
Well, I'll give you an example because I think examples really work for people. Here too. So everybody has New Year's resolutions that we set January 1st, and we have the best of intentions of keeping to them. Now, a few days into January, you have this goal, I'm going to get up this morning and exercise. Whether it's going to the gym or yoga or running, whatever it is, most of us have this little New Year's resolution. However, as the alarm goes off, you lie in bed and you have this thought, well, it's raining outside. Doesn't look so nice. It's cold. I live in Canada. I don't know if I want to get up today. Maybe I could start tomorrow. Tomorrow seems like a good day. And then there's this other voice that clicks in and it says, wait a minute. You said this was your New Year's resolution. You promised yourself you were going to do this. Yeah, but it's really not so nice. And I could get a cold today, and that would really set me back. I don't want to, but you promised. Can I trust you? Can I believe your word if you say you're going to go right? Well, I don't know. Tomorrow's just as good. I mean, it's only 24 hours later. I could start tomorrow. Okay, this internal conversation, Lisa, is really an indication of two different sides of the self. Now, when I was becoming a pilot and taking pilot lessons, there was part of me that said, I can do this. I'm sure I can do this. Hey, if Christine and Patrick can do it, I know I can do it. The other voice said, yeah, but you have to multitask and all these instruments. You have to keep track of all these instruments. And it's not just 2 dimensions, it's 3 dimensions. And you're airborne after all. And nobody in your family has ever been in aviation. You don't really have the gene pool for this. And you could crash the plane and die. So I had this conversation going on the I can side and the I can't side. And it's really difficult at times to be able to discern who's going to win. And this is where a coach helps as well, is flushing out the internal dialogue with 2, 3, 4, however many voices there are, to be able to externalize it so that we can address it and the person can make choices that are in their best interest.
And we all have subpersonalities. There's nobody
Well,
out there that doesn't, correct?
they're coping mechanisms that most of us adopted throughout life to be able to get through a certain situation. And so you may have 2 or 3 or 4, some people have up to 12, but the key thing here is recognizing them and seeing who is your ally on your side, a cheerleader, reinforcing you, and which ones are saboteurs or negative or critical, judgmental.
And what's the most effective way, truly, for the coaches that are watching this, what's the most effective way to figure out clients' subpersonalities?
Well, you ask them. You say something like, if you hear a discrepancy between what they were saying in terms of their goals and then the voice that comes out. Yeah, but what if? Yeah, but I can't do that. Yeah, but no, I'm not that educated. Yeah, but I don't have the, it's like, whose voice is that? Whose voice am I hearing right now?
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's my mother's voice. Oh, she just joined us for this session. Yeah, she did. Well, do you want her here? Or should we maybe have a conversation about whether you want your mother in your head at all?
That's a whole nother coaching session.
Yes, it is.
Oh, and so once subpersonalities, because this is fascinating. So once a subpersonality is actually identified for a client, what's the role of the coach next? Like, what do they do with this information?
Well, the key thing is who's in there, what are they saying, what's their role, what's their agenda, and are they on your side or are they against you?
Yeah.
That's critical. So as you start identifying different subs, it could be the child in you that loves to play, and that could be a part that keeps you balanced, or it could be the part that's sabotaging your work ethic. Now, it could be the part of you that is the driver, the slave driver. And that could be the part that actually manages productivity, or it could be the part that's driving you towards burnout.
Yeah.
That's where you have to differentiate what the role is, and if you're giving this person free rein in your life to run the show, or if there are some checks and balances to keep them in line so that you are productive but not burning out,
Yeah.
you're playful but not sabotaging your goals.
Yeah. And a coach really does help you navigate through that, correct?
Absolutely. If they're a good coach, they know about subpersonalities, they have experience with it, and they can help the person define what could sabotage their vision, dreams, and goals.
Yeah. Yeah. We're getting some hearts over that one. Thank you, Michael. Oh, we have Anthony hello, Anthony. Welcome. If you've got any questions for Dr. Cherie, please feel free to pop them on there and we'll happily answer them as we go along. So MBTI, vital to breakthroughs with coaching. And you talk a little bit about that in one of your courses that you have here at Extra Credits. Let's talk a little bit more about what personality assessments are, how MBTI really helps with the coach, and truly why you talk about MBTI so much in your one course.
Well, they're called psychometric tools. And the simple way of defining those is getting to know yourself. Getting to know your strengths and your proclivities and your preferences. That's what a psychometric tool is all about.
Yeah.
So if you don't know yourself really well, it's difficult to align your energy towards your desired outcome. So we use psychometric tools for people to be able to illuminate parts of their personality. For instance, when I was a little kid, one day my mother looked at me and she said, "What's going on?" And I said, "I feel really shy today." And she said, "Nobody in our family is shy. Now stop it." And I thought, okay, don't use that word again. And then suppress every part of me that's shy.
Yeah.
Now I grew up to find out when I took the MBTI that I'm actually an introvert. I have extroverted sides, but I'm also recharging my batteries with time that is by myself or one other person. I can speak in front of an audience of 500 or 1,000 people, no problem. But afterwards, I need to have some, kind of like we recharge our cell phones.
Yeah.
I have to recharge my battery as well afterwards. Whereas an extrovert recharges with people contact.
Yeah.
So getting to know myself and what works for me is really important in being able to manage not only my motivation, my energy, my time, and my resources so that I'm fully engaged and able to show up and do the job that I've set out for myself. Now, the MBTI is one of the oldest, and it also has the largest scope in the world. We're not saying it's the only one. There are lots of really good psychometric tools out there. But the MBTI gives you some valuable information for not only yourself, but also for team building. Like, for instance, one of the things that initially was the case with Michael and me is that he's a thinker and I'm a feeler. Now, that's pretty clear. I make decisions more often based on my feelings. He makes decisions more often than not based on logic, reason, and rational thought.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a fact. So when it comes down to buying a car, for instance, and we're a team, he'll go, all right, how many miles does it have? It's out of the resale value. What is the consumer report say about it?
Sorry.
And I'll say something like, I really like the lines of the car. It's a great.
It's beautiful color.
I like the way the door closes, and I like the 0 to 60 in 10 seconds or whatever. I will look at the feeling part of the car, especially how it feels when I sit in it, how it feels to drive it. I'll feel it. He'll think it.
Yeah.
Now, very often, people who have different types will end up pointing fingers at each other, and the fingers look like, because you're the way we have problems. If we can just fix you and change you and make you a little more like I am, everything will be fine. And that can happen in professional relationships, personal relationships, anywhere. But it starts with the judgment, categorizing the other person and noticing that they're different and then judging them for their differences. So the key thing here, MBTI does, number one, it helps us understand ourselves and what we need and how we function. And number two, it helps us harmonize with other people, include them, and if they're extremely different, be tolerant and patient with them as opposed to judgmental and critical.
I would suspect it closes the gap in many things as well, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It helps people transcend their differences.
Yeah. And it would be, for a coach, and I would think if I was looking for a coach, one of the first questions that I would ask is what psychometric tools has a coach used so that they understand who they are and their competencies? Because if they're going to be coaching me and they don't understand who they are, how are they ever going to understand who I am and help me?
Now that is such a brilliant observation that as a client, you want to know how much work your coach has done on themselves and how much continual education they're taking as well. Because you don't want them to have reached a certain plateau and just stop learning and developing themselves. You want them engaged in extra credits, taking those courses to be able to continually grow. See, there's a difference between a fixed mindset, which is called, I've reached a certain level and I've stopped, versus a growth mindset.
Yeah.
You're working with people who are involved in the growth mindset. It's a continuous process of education and development as yourself as an individual and as a professional.
Absolutely. I mean, some of the brightest minds in the world. I mean, we look at Warren Buffett. I mean, he's a prime example, and I use him often. I mean, he celebrates learning and has a library and is continually learning. I mean, he's supposed to be one of the brightest and most successful men in the world. And so if he's still learning at his age, then there's something to be said with the mission of continuing education.
Absolutely. So he has a growth mindset. He's kind of your poster guy. You know, put him on the poster and say, if he can still continue to learn, so can you.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I would suspect as well, you know, we talk about, you know, you're well known for your coaching questions. I mean, you've been coaching since the 70s. You've got some amazing coaching questions. You know, we have a free download for anybody who's watching that. I'm just going to pop up where the free download is here on the screen. There it is. These are Cherie's 7 coaching questions. They're free. You're welcome to have them at any given time. Go to the extracredits.com 7 coaching questions URL, and we'll happily give that to you. Thank you, Manon, for joining us today. I hope I said your name correctly. So one of the things that we do talk about, if you were to say, you have 10 major coaching questions. So what is the first coaching question or the number one coaching question that most coaches miss that should always ask in a coaching session?
At the end of our time together, what is it that you'd like to accomplish in our conversation? Now, that can be compared to the destination that you put in your GPS.
Yeah.
So you're in the car, going to a brand new place that you've never been to before. And how are you going to get there? Well, if you don't put anything in the GPS, you could drive around in circles. And if you don't determine your destination in a coaching conversation, you could talk in circles. So that's a really important question to determine the outcome before we start.
Actually, I believe that I watched, now correct me if I'm wrong, on your Facebook page, I watched an absolutely hilarious conversation between you and Michael, your husband, about the GPS in the car. I have to say, I've watched lots of yours and Michael's Sunday shows, but that one I cracked up because I thought, oh my God, that is my husband and I, and probably the majority of married couples and non-married couples who are in a vehicle together.
That makes me feel so relaxed and pleased because I thought I was the only person who would sit there and he'd say, just put it in the GPS. I'd say, I can't get in the GPS till you pull over the side of the road.
No.
Well, why do you have to do that? Because it won't work if you're driving. It's assuming there's one driver. Okay, so he pulls over and then I put something in the GPS and that doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay, put it in the handheld. Put it in your phone. Okay, I put it in, but it's driving us to a field. There's no building on this field. Okay, so you must have put it in wrong. I didn't put it in wrong. No, wait a minute. It's the GPS. We have had these situations over and over again. As a matter of fact, one time I said, pull over. I got out of the car. And I thought to myself, I'm not getting in this car one more time with him in the GPS situation. Not. So we finally had to have a little mediation about it. Because it was so like, and then the thing that he does, okay, we got the GPS all set up. I said, it's all set up. He goes, well, I think I want to turn left here. I said, no, the GPS says go straight. He goes, but I have a feeling I'm turning left here. I said, you're a thinker, not a feeler. Would you please go straight? He said, well, actually, I think this is a better route. I said, why did we use the GPS if you're going to be the GPS?
Exactly.
So, anyway.
Well, I laughed because I remember the first time my husband and I ever got in a vehicle, we weren't married at the time, there was no GPSs, there was no cell phones, and you had to use a map to get somewhere. And I navigated the map with, I turned. Every time the vehicle turned, I turned the map. And he navigated, hold the map north. So we were in Florida trying to find the Kennedy Space Center, and I don't even know where we ended. We were like 3 hours away from Space Kent because I could not turn that map because, of course, we were fresh in our relationship, and nobody wants to pretend like they don't know what they're doing, right? Anyways, finally I said, "Screw it, I gotta turn the map," and he looked at me like, "What?" Like, "Yes, I gotta turn the map." So I could so relate to your conversation because it was quite funny, actually. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Makes me happy.
So we're near the half hour here. So close. You've got a new book coming out. The other thing that I really wanted to make mention of is your coaching movie. You have a coaching movie and you have a musical. Tell me about the coaching movie and the musical.
Okay, so the coaching movie is called Leap, and it's produced by Patrick Wazowski, a New Vision Films. It's going to be on Amazon, where people can actually buy it and have it for themselves. It's a great film for coaches. It's about 100 minutes long, and it's 4 individuals who actually signed off their lives for 1 year, were coached by 38 different coaches, experts, mentors to be able to realize their visions, dreams, and goals. And it's called Leap, L-E-A-P, and it's taking the leap in your life and going for your dreams. So that book is something that movie, it's a documentary film, and you can, if you go to leapmovie.com, you can actually find out more information about it and see if there's a showing somewhere near you. We've been previewing it all over the world. That's the Leap movie. It's really effective. People feel very touched and moved by it, and I just would recommend it because it gives you a kind of experience of what coaching is. And the second thing is, yes, I've written a musical, and I did that together with my sister business partner, Lynn Stewart. We've been working on it for years now with Stop Start. And I composed the music and I wrote the lyrics. So that is going to be produced next year in Bangkok, Thailand. So if any of our viewers today have been looking for an excuse to come to Bangkok, they can contact you, and together we can let them know when and where the workshop, A Dress Rehearsal for Life musical, will be produced in Bangkok in 2019.
I'm just writing that in as we speak in the comments below so that people can find out more about that. Well, it looks like maybe I might have to take a trip to Bangkok.
Love that.
Well,
we can also put on some of the songs now and then so that people can hear the music and see if it resonates with them, because they're show tunes.
Are you singing in it, Cherie?
No. Writing, composing, and producing. That's it. That's where I draw the line. We will have all young talent.
Just that. Like,
that's
no big feat or anything like that. You're just writing, composing.
Yeah, producing. That's it.
Well, I have to say it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much. For anybody who is watching this or the replay, drcherie.com. You can find out more about her there, or at extracredits.com. Dr. Cherie Carter-Scott, Master Certified Coach. Thank you very much for joining me this morning. It's this evening for me, this morning for you. And
thank you.
Talk soon.
Thank you for having me on the show, and for all your listeners, remember, Lisa's the person who's committed to your continued education so that you never get rusty and you never get stale and you're always on the top of your game. Thanks, Lisa, for doing what you do.
Thanks, Cherie.
Bye.